Did you ever live with a person you love and then found out he lied? I married him for 10 years, but I discovered his name was not real. I am Tomas, and I found a secret photo in a hotel safe. The photo showed him with a different passport and a different life. I felt betrayed, but I could not speak at once. My heart beat fast. I thought of our children, the small apartment, the nights in the lobby of our old hotel when we had no money. How could he hide this twice life? He smiled each morning at breakfast and said, "Everything will be fine." However, that smile was now a mask. I opened his old suitcase and saw a reservation card with another name. Who is he? I wanted to ask, but a footstep came to the door. The secret was about to move from a paper to a voice behind me. My name is Tomas. I tell this story as a child sees adults. I am small in my body but old in my feelings. The hotel was our world. My father worked at the reception desk when we were young. He told me stories of suites and guests. He said, "A hotel keeps secrets. People leave pieces of life here." I remember the lobby light and the smell of coffee. We lived in a small room above the laundry. Mother worked with housekeeping. They had complimentary tea for staff. I heard them laugh and fight at night. My father used one name at the desk. He used a softer name for us at home. I did not know then that a name can hide a whole life. 10 years passed like a slow film. I grew taller. I learned to tie shoes. I learned to speak 2 names. At breakfast he read the reservation log for the day. He said, "We have a vacancy for the suite. A man will stay next week." He taught me to bring towels. He taught me to be quiet when guests slept. One evening the concierge called him to the lobby. He left the room in a hurry. He did not say why. Later he came back with a small envelope and a paper. I asked, "What is that?" He smiled and said, "Work paper." I felt worry then. My mother said, "Do not ask grown things now." But secrets do not sleep. In the city the news said a famous man left a hotel with bodyguards. My father watched on the small TV and said nothing. At 10 years he kissed my mother in the bed and told her, "I will keep you safe." I believed him. Then one night he forgot to lock his suitcase. I saw a passport that had a name I did not know. The passport photo looked like him but the name was not his. I kept the paper in my pocket. I had a question for the morning, but morning came with a knock on our door. A woman spoke from the lobby and said, "Is Tomas here?" My heart stopped because he used that name to hide, and now someone knew. What did the name hide? I ran to the door as the knock came again. We went to the big resort for a rare day off. The resort had a pool and many amenities. My mother had a reservation under his real desk name. I held my small bag and walked by the concierge. They smiled but did not know our life. My father was quiet. He kept the passport in his pocket that day. At lunch a guest called him by the other name. The voice was loud. It said, "Mr. Alvarez, we missed you last season." My father looked frozen. He laughed too fast and said, "You must mistake me." The guest did not stop. People turned. I felt my cheeks burn. He grabbed my hand and pulled me to the suite. The receptionist asked for checkout time. I saw the paper with his other name under a pile of brochures. I wanted to shout, but my throat was dry. That night the resort had a small party by the pool. A woman from housekeeping found a key in the laundry room. It opened a safety box at the front desk. She handed the key to my mother, thinking it was lost. The safety box had a note for a name we did not know. A guest at the party read the note out loud. He laughed and said, "What a story. A man with 2 lives. Why hide?" People began to whisper. I watched my father step outside. His hands trembled. He said nothing. He was a good man in our home. He carried me on his shoulders, helped with my school bag, and read me simple English words at night. Now people saw a half-truth and wanted the whole secret. The resort manager called the reception. He said, "There is a complaint. A name problem. We must check our records." My father walked back into the lobby like a man who does not know where to stand. I followed him with small steps. He looked at the reservation log and then at the passport in his hand. He dropped it. The pages scattered like leaves. A woman picked one up. She read the other name and gasped. My mother cried softly. The crowd in the lobby grew. Someone whispered the word betrayed. My father said, "I can explain." But the manager said, "You used 2 names. That is a problem." My father closed his eyes and then mouthed one word to me, "Hide." I ran to our suite. Who was coming now? Footsteps filled the hallway. At night the room felt small and loud. My mother packed a small bag. She said, "We have to go. This is not safe." I held my toy and watched my father sit by the window. His face had 2 colors. One was the color that kissed me good night. The other was the color that had secrets. He told a long story in a low voice. He said that long ago he had to change his name to hide from a bad company. He said a man chased him. The man wanted money and a special ring. He said he used a new passport and a new name to get away. He said, "I did a bad thing to stay safe. I lied to protect you." I wanted to believe him because he had told me bedtime stories and taught me small words. The next day the manager of the resort brought someone from housekeeping and a small stack of old reservation cards. A card had the name of a rich man who stayed many times. My father had taken money once. He never told us. My mother hit the table. She said, "You lied about our life." I cried and stepped back. People in the lobby called the police to ask questions. The police had a form and a question list. They looked at the passport with the other name and then at my father's face. He looked older. He said, "I used the name for safety, not to steal." But the housekeeper found another paper in the suite. It was a signed paper that said he had taken a payment to keep quiet about a guest. The payment had the same handwriting as his. The manager said, "This is a crime." My father looked at me and said, "I will fix this." He walked out of the resort as if he had work to do. My mother packed our bags and said, "If he is a criminal, we must leave. I will not be part of this life." I watched him go. I watched his back move down the long path to the street. He stopped at the small gate and then turned. He lifted his hand like a man who asks for forgiveness. I ran to him and said, "Do you love me?" He knelt and hugged me. He said, "I love you more than the truth can hurt." But the manager called and said, "You must explain to the police or we will hold you." My father's eyes were empty like a mirror. He whispered my real name, the name he used for me when I was small, and then he started to walk away. Who will follow him? The phone rang with a new voice and said, "We need to see him at once." The full truth came when the other man arrived at the resort. He was not a villain in a film. He was a tired businessman with 2 small scars and a soft voice. He said, "I am the owner of that paper." I lied, too. He told the manager that many years ago he had used false names to escape a bad partner. My father had helped him then. The owner said, "He kept a secret to save my life." He did not take money for himself. He took it to pay for our safety. The manager read the papers and saw a note of thanks. The police looked at the note and then at my father's face. The words changed like a key in a lock. The charge was not what the housekeeper thought. The owner said, "I want to forgive him. I want no trouble." My mother sat down slowly. She looked at my father and said, "Why did you hide?" He said, "I wanted to protect you from the danger. I thought a new name would keep us safe." It was a good man who turned bad only in the eyes of strangers. He had done a hard thing for love, then lied about it for fear. In the end, the owner left a small complimentary stay at the resort for our family and said a kind word. My father made a new promise to be honest. He wrote his true name on the reservation paper and left his old passport on the manager's desk. We walked back to the lobby together, one small family, with a lesson that hurt and healed. I learned that people can change from good to bad in small eyes and back again in a moment of truth. I learned to ask questions and to listen. I learned that a hidden name may hide fear, not only crime. If you find a secret, you can leave, or you can hold the person and ask, why? The answer can hurt, but it can also be the way to forgive. The manager closed the safe and put vacancy on the board. We stayed one more night. Outside, a footstep moved away. Inside, our small family tried to breathe.